Imaginers, thank you for tuning in live. Please let me know if you can hear me, if you can see me, if you see Michelle. Today I will be chatting with our latest talent partner here at Imagen, Michelle Harris. That's who you see right over there. But before you learn more about Michelle and you have the opportunity to ask your questions, my name is Scott Weidenkivowitz, and I am the content community manager here at Imagen. If we haven't met before, it's nice to meet you now. My goal is to help you get the most out of Imagen, so you can spend less time worrying about the tedious post-production and focus on more about what you love. And I want you to be involved. So if you are watching on Facebook, you can see down there below, there is a link. If you're watching on Facebook, we are streaming through Restream. That is what is powering this live stream. So before you leave a comment, please grant Restream permission so we can see your name. Just go to that chat.restream.io/FB that you see up on the screen. You'll only have to do it once, and we can see your name in the comments. Now, Michelle and I would like to know where you're tuning in from. I'm in New Jersey. Michelle, you're in Virginia. And we want to know where you're watching from. So please, leave a comment. Let us know. Now, if you are also brand new to Imagen, I'm so glad you're here. If you have any questions for me about Imagen, if you have any questions for Michelle about her work, about anything that you learn about as Michelle and I go through this awesome conversation, then get those questions in. You can ask her whatever. And she will answer whatever she feels comfortable answering. So that is what this is all about. This is all about celebrating something that happened recently, and just to do what I've been doing for every other talent profile launch since we started doing live streams. So I'm very excited that your profile is out, called Luxe Color. It's a beautiful profile that hopefully those watching have been able to start testing, start trying, and we'll be digging into that. So we have Erica from Delaware. Erica's like right in between the two of us. Keith is amazing. He hung out with us at Imagen the entire time, and was talking to new Imaginers. And thank you for tuning in, Keith. I really appreciate him. And we got Jonathan from the Imagen team tuning in from the Imagen HQ in Tel Aviv. Sometimes, by the way, Michelle, when we do live streams, they throw it up on the big screen in HQ. So you might be on TV right now, up in the Imagen offices. There's a good chance that could be happening right now. So we're gonna dive right in, and I'm gonna start with a very, very simple question. That question is, how long have you been a professional photographer?
8 years.
8 years.
8 years.
Okay.
So January 12th, I'm actually mad at myself because I meant to do like a whole branding celebration thing about making it 8 years. And it came to the day and I was like, well, never mind, maybe next year for 9. And I was like, well, I guess I might as well wait till 10. I think I'm just gonna celebrate it soon because 8 years is a big deal. A lot of people don't make it.
Well, you know what you could do for 9? You know how at the end of every year people do like their 9 best from Instagram? What if you did like 9 years of progression? Like one photo from every year of how you have progressed in your photography.
That I could do. And I could do it at 8. I could do that.
You could do it at 8.
I'm gonna write that down. Oh, man.
Love it. See, we're already starting out with some good nuggets. Oh, we got some more. So, somebody you and I know very well, Christine, tune in from Houston. We have a Facebook user from Fort Washington, Maryland. Don't know who you are. Connect Restream so we can see your name. But thank you for tuning in, whoever you are. We appreciate it. Okay. And how did you get into photography 8 years ago?
So I was an insurance agent and I wanted a side hustle. I was like, I want to find another way to make some money. And I just bought a camera and I thought I wanted to be a newborn photographer, which was an epic fail. There was little that I more than newborn photography personally. But I sold all that stuff because I bought everything. I bought the beanbag and all the wraps and all of it. And I sold it all. And then I did my brother's wedding in his backyard. And I was like, this is it. And I just asked people to second shoot for them and just tag along and just be. And then I just took off. Because in
Nice.
2015, Thumbtack was a thing.
Mm,
It was actually a lot cheaper, and it actually got to people, and I booked a lot of weddings back then on that, so
nice.
that was the
Nice.
beginning.
Awesome. And so, do you have any kids? I know the answer, but I'm asking anyway.
I was like, yeah. So, and I have an 11-year-old girl, a 9-year-old girl, and then almost 3-year-old little boy. But I did not give birth to my little boy, and I didn't have any plans to have a kid. So what I thought I was doing when I got my camera, I was like, oh, I'll be a newborn photographer because I'm not having any more kids. It still didn't work out, and now I have another one, but here we are.
Yeah. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but we have a child with the same name.
Do we?
Yeah.
What's your child's name? Oh, it's backwards, I think. What does that
Oh,
say?
sorry, it's backwards.
It
Layla.
is. Layla. Yes, it's my oldest daughter. How do you spell it? Because I really couldn't see that.
Layla.
Okay. Yeah, hers is Lai. That's the only difference. So that means my hustle sign is backwards.
Yeah, it is. It's all right.
Mhm.
It's all right. It
Wow.
happens. Okay. So, uh, it's funny because when we do the podcast, we do the live stream, and I have to come up with the questions. A lot of times, I know the answers already, but everybody's watching doesn't know the answer, so I have to like pretend,
Pretend that
or
you know what's
yeah,
going
pretend
on.
like I don't know. Um, Christine says she started out as a wanting to be a newborn. She was very wrong. Actually, Zoe does newborns. She loves it. So it
Yeah.
definitely is like a you have to love it to love it.
Yeah.
Vaman. I hope I said that right. Vaman.
His,
I tried newborn too. Wasn't for me.
that's his name. It says V Man, but his name is Vincent.
Oh, okay. Nice. This is awesome. Awesome. Thank you everybody for commenting. Keep it going. Keep the comments going. Feel free to discuss on your own anything that we talk about. Feel free to ask Michelle questions. That's what we're here for. We're gonna get a little deep right out of the gate. We started a little light, but I want to get a little deeper. So, at WPPI, when you and I first met almost a year ago,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, that's
Um, uh, you know, y- um, immediately I can tell that you were somebody special, and that's
great.
when I went right to Zoe and I was like, you need to talk to her.
Yeah.
so,
Oh, I love
um,
it.
so I came up with some questions that are definitely deeper than some of the previous questions, and we'll get lighter again, but we're gonna go to this one.
Okay.
How has your identity as a Black woman
Hmm.
guided your approach to photography and as a photography business owner?
Hmm. Well, I do know that for when it comes to education, I know that it was my number one motivator.
Mm,
Because when I started photography in 2015, I couldn't find any Black females to learn from. I was looking for them. And I mean, I found one that I can learn some things, but she wasn't a wedding photographer. So I still couldn't dive as deep as I wanted to from a Black woman. And so I knew as soon as I got to a place where I felt like I could pour into others,
mm,
that I was going to do it. But even if I wasn't necessarily ready, I was just going to push myself out there and try to do it and be there
yeah,
for people because it was important to me to be the person that I was looking for 8 years ago.
right.
So that's definitely how it has affected me. Now, I mean, my photography itself, it has just made me make sure that I always have diversity in my portfolio. And it's something that I'm always concerned with, always like
Mm,
looking at like, oh, did I post enough of this or that? And,
right.
have everything mixed in and am I showing all the things? But those are the two ways that it's affected me.
Awesome. So like as a as a black woman that's a photographer and a um, very successful business owner, I'm sure over the years you faced some challenges from being a black female photographer. What is one challenge that you might have faced and had to overcome, and maybe you got like if you have the example of how you actually did overcome it, can you share like something like that?
That's a really good question. Um, I don't know that I've ever felt like maybe like I missed an opportunity because I was
Mm,
black or anything like that. But I do feel that I don't know if I have to, but I do work harder
mm,
than I feel like other people have to. And so it just puts fire under my behind. So I'm trying not to cuss for you. Um, to just be the best that I can be and just stay focused because if I let the events of the world and the things that keep happening um affect me, then I would just go into a deep dark hole. So I make sure that I
right.
don't do that.
Yeah.
So I can
Um,
be there for other people.
do you think that that there's a big difference in roadblocks or challenges that come up in general? I'm not saying just for you, but in general for female photographers versus black female photographers.
Mm. I personally I don't I haven't experienced it. So I can't tell you, oh, well, this happened to me and any of those things. So to be honest with you, I personally don't know. I know that I pour into all women the exact same, and that's all I can do is focus on that.
Yeah.
But there's no like, oh, this is how you get past this or that.
Right.
All you can do, no matter what you are facing, is to focus on yourself and being the best.
Mm.
That's all I got.
Yeah, yeah. It drives me bonkers as a photographer that like, I don't photograph weddings that often. Um, I do a lot of portrait work, but I do the occasional wedding when it's something very special to me, like a for example, a photographer I mentored asked me to photograph his wedding, and so I did it. Um, but as a photographer that goes to a lot of weddings, um, we're at that age where friends are constantly getting married,
Mhm.
um, and um, seeing when there's a female lead photographer that's not treated as the lead photographer, it drives me insane. Um, so
So I feel like I don't experience that because of my presence. And it just is what it is because if you don't know, I'm 5'10", so I'm very tall. And when I walk in a room, there's no like, oh, I didn't see you there. Like you can't miss me.
yeah,
I'm also extremely direct. And I do not mind getting loud and being aggressive in certain situations. That's actually one of the things that I teach in some of my courses and things is how to command the authority in the room,
mm,
even if you're a tiny person. But if you walk in there and you're like, okay, this is what's going to happen and this is how it's going to happen, it doesn't matter how tall, short, small, big you are. People are going to be like, okay, all right. Like people respond to people who exude authority and a presence when they walk in a room. So I
yeah,
feel like that's why I've never had that situation happen, no matter who I was working with, because I take charge. I don't allow it to be oh, you thought it was so and so over there. Like, there's no question. I'm
yeah.
in charge here, and this is what I'm gonna do, and how I'm gonna help move this whole wedding along and do all the things.
Before a wedding or before you go on stage to speak or anything like that, when you do a workshop or anything, do you do the superwoman pose? I'm just
The,
curious.
the superwoman pose,
Yeah.
I do not.
You
I guess
don't?
I might need to add that into routine.
It's it's supposed to build you up even more with the confidence and like, so I was just curious.
Oh, well, I mean, I might try. I'm gonna try it out at
Yeah.
WPI then and see how it goes.
I think Christine, you're still watching. I think you do that. Don't you do that before you go on stage? Superwoman pose. Comment. Let me know.
Believe that.
I've definitely done the Superman pose for sure before I've gone on stage because you know it just it helps. It's very strange how it helps, but okay. So, what have been some of your favorite projects or clients that you've done?
Mm. Um, a couple of years ago, like right before COVID, I did like a bigger style shoot, and I had every single vendor be a Black owned business. And it was just amazing to see everybody come together and make gorgeousness. And then just be so proud to be a part of a team. And it was pretty awesome.
Nice. Yeah, that's fantastic. Um, so the industry is changing. I think it's obvious that like what Imagen's doing has made a big impact on the photography industry in general, right? I mean, we're
Mhm.
seeing more and more AI come to light, whether it's a one simple app that does certain AI things, or it's something like Imagen that's about truly saving time in photographers' lives.
Mhm.
Um, so I'm wondering, from your perspective, whether it's software, whether it's uh, emotional attitudes, whether it's anything, if there's
Mhm.
one thing that you could change in the photography industry, what would it be?
Mhm. I think that I would actually have maybe some sort of necessary gateway for people to begin educating. Because anybody,
Hmm.
anybody can just decide that they are an educator now and that
Yeah.
they're going to start offering this or that. Um, and then it can have a really bad effect on the whole industry because if somebody signs up for like a mentoring or something with someone and then it goes badly, then they're going to be hesitant
Yeah.
forever when signing up with someone who actually would have helped them.
Yep.
And I feel like COVID birthed a lot of photographer educators because they
Yep.
couldn't leave their house. They're like, oh, well, I'll just teach people this. And
Yeah.
just because you can do it well doesn't mean that you can teach it well.
Right.
Um, and that even goes for myself. Like there are things I don't teach
Mm.
because I can't teach them well. So like if you are looking for someone to be like, oh, how do I do this in my actual camera? Like do different camera settings and all the different things. Like I know how to do it myself when I'm doing it,
Yeah.
but teaching it, like the exposure triangle and all that like basic stuff, I'm not the person to teach it, so I'm not going to. But there are people who will feel like, oh, well, people need to know this, so I'm going to try my best to teach it. And then people feel like they wasted money, and then they're hesitant for anything to spend any other money with people who actually know what they're doing.
Yeah. It really the pandemic definitely sparked lot more and like things like Patreon and Teachable and all these platforms that are very easy to get on board with make it even easier for the people who shouldn't be teaching to teach.
Right.
Um, uh, I can give a very specific answer to that as well. Like with going along with your answer. So for 10 years prior to working at Imagen, I was working in the photography website space, and I was teaching SEO a lot, and I saw a lot of different people come to the photography industry to teach SEO and teach it in horrible, horrible ways. And over the years, I've seen many of them leave from teaching SEO, and there's one person who remains that is like the best SEO educator in the industry, and unfortunately, he doesn't speak at enough events.
Mm.
Um, he's built his business on it, and it's fantastic. But it's a good example of like, you know, people who shouldn't be teaching SEO eventually are discovered as people who shouldn't be teaching SEO, and they're gone. And the people who stick around are the ones who should. Um,
Yeah.
so let's that was a little SEO rant.
Mhm.
Let's what was that?
I said, no, I get it.
Yeah. Um, so Imagen released something besides your talent profile, right? We
Mhm.
released something officially to everybody this week. every Imagener, and it's subject mask. It's in beta right now, and I'm wondering. We're gonna show a little bit about subject mask. You recently just did sent a project through with subject mask with your profile, and we're gonna look at that and get your thoughts on it. But can you share what does Imagen's new subject mask mean for you and your photography specifically?
So when it comes to the masking, one, it's already going to save me a lot of time in general because you don't realize how long it takes to go through each photo and press just to get to the to have the mask on there just takes an extra 3 or 4 seconds. But running it through, imagine when they already have created the mask for you. If even if you have to tweak it a little bit, it saves you so much time by just clicking on it and then just adjusting it. So I mean, that's going to make a huge deal for me. But I mean, I also, it's really important for me for the people in my photos to pop from the background, and so it's going to make it even easier, especially when I'm shooting different skin tones and want to make sure that they balance within the photo.
Awesome. Awesome. I am going to share my screen and show everybody how to get to subject mask. Can you, in the meantime, pull up Lightroom while I'm doing this? And that way, by the time that I am done, we can share your screen and you can show what you recently sent through.
Got it.
Let me hide this. Okay. So I'm inside the Imagen app, and I go to create a new project, and I'm going to just go to edit, and I'm going to choose a catalog. And right here, you can see in the additional AI tools, you have crop, you have straighten. These have existed since the beginning of Imagen. And now you have subject mask. And if you hover over it, you can see exactly what it's going to do. It is going to find the subject in your photo, mask it with a brush, and then it's going to edit the subject separate from the background. And all you would do is you just check it. And it's going to do it for every single photo that you send through in this project. It only works on raw photos, so if you're doing JPEGs, subject mask is not available for you at this point in time. Maybe down the road, but right now it's raw only. We recommend, because Lightroom, the way the Lightroom works, it gets a little slower the more local adjustments you add. So we recommend doing it with a minimum of a maximum of 3,000 photos in a project. So or 3,000 photos you're at. So if you're doing culling, going from like 6,000 down to like 2, you're perfectly fine. But we recommend sticking, if you're going to do subject mask, whatever you're editing, to be less than 3,000 photos. That way, Lightroom doesn't slow down too much for you once you get the edits back. So that's how it works. You just check it. And then every edit you send through will come through with that subject selected and edited.
And if you're not using the straightening, you are missing out. That straightening saves me so much time.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't realize how crooked I shoot until it started fixing it.
Yeah. It's really funny how some people are like, oh, I'm never crooked. I line everything. No, because you can line it up, and then if you're not on a tripod keeping it perfectly still, you take a breath and now you're crooked again.
Exactly. And that just pressing that to straighten it just a little bit takes extra seconds, and these seconds are gone. When you add hundreds of images for these weddings, it adds up quickly.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. Are you ready to share your screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can do that.
Cool.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I'll wait until you get Lightroom pulled up, and then I'll bring it up so we don't see the mirror effect.
Go. Can you see it?
Not yet. I see there we go. Okay, here we go. All right. Nice.
You can see inside the Lightroom?
Yep. I see inside Lightroom.
All right. So I ran this through literally an hour ago. And you can see that Imagen made a mask here. And it didn't do anything super dramatically, but it makes a huge difference here. So it pushed up the exposure a little bit, moved my shadows and whites up just a little bit, and then sharpened it just a little bit, which it looks incredible. So I'm super happy. Like I wouldn't do anything to this picture. You can see on this side, I've done nothing to this picture, and I wouldn't. Just click on another random one.
I love that you can actually like see the detail in the suit now versus originally you couldn't see the detail in the suit.
Yep. And I'm obsessed with this dress. But yeah, this is just some of what it did.
You know, those are good examples of like, you know, very, very white skin against a very white sky, right?
Mhm,
Like,
mhm.
subject mask is very important there in order to get that extra pop off the subjects from that bright
And
sky.
especially stuff like these.
Oh yeah,
It definitely made it pop. It's
yeah,
going really slow, but it helped pop this from the background even more.
yeah,
The skin tone looks good. Like I wouldn't change anything about these.
yeah. And subject mask is non-destructive, just like every other edit you do in Lightroom. So you could always go back to the mask. You can make changes. You can hide it and show it if you want to see the differences. Like, oh, look at that. That's great.
Yeah. Let me see what I did. I like that one. This is a huge difference. So without the mask, it still like looks better, but this really added another extra
Oh
pop to
yeah, yeah, it did.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it did.
I didn't
So
even think
good.
about this. Turning it off and before. But that it literally adds gorgeousness to it.
Yeah, it's that final touch, right? Of
Mhm.
and again, like that doesn't have to be the end. Like um if you have a photo that is extra special for your client, or like if it's one that you're going to be blowing up wall size for your client that they're buying, obviously you're going to want to go and retouch more than what you would for just, you know, digital proofs or just a digital, you know, a gallery or maybe even the wedding album, depending, like if you don't need to, you know, but if you're going to be doing something that's more needs that extra fine art touch from you, you go deeper, right? Imagen is here to save that tedious time, not to take away all your creativity.
Right. And not to just be like, well, it's done. I mean, this happens to be done for me. But if it wasn't, it wouldn't take me very long to make any adjustments here because it's at 99.9 for me. Exactly how I would have edited it.
Nice.
I think this is really, yeah, that
Yeah, that's
really
good.
makes a difference here.
Yeah, it looks fantastic.
I'm obsessed.
All right. Okay, I'm gonna take that off the
Oop.
screen. There we go. Okay, let's look at some of the questions from the viewers. Everybody's tuning in. We're getting a bunch come in. Okay, so Vernon, how did you find your editing style? I find it similar to mine when I tried your profile. How did you find your editing style? That's a deep question.
It is. I've always been bright since I picked up my camera. I've known that I love photos on the brighter end, and like I appreciate like darker and moodies and all the other variations. But I always knew that bright was it. And then maybe a couple years in, I had gotten a little too bright and realized that it was adjusting people's skin tone. And then when I was messing around with it, ended up making people orange for like a couple months. And I was like, this is bad. So I mean, it took a while to get here, and I just had to keep tweaking it. And there are people, you know, from 5 years ago that I want to re-edit every single picture that I gave to them, and they still are posting it and tagging me because I told them to tag me, and I'm like, please don't tag me from 5 years ago, but nothing you can do now. So.
Um, at Imaging,
Mhm.
Andre Brown had a class that was incredible.
I believe.
Um, and I learned something of what he does thanks to Imagen that I never thought of before. So I'm going to share this tip with you and everybody else who's watching.
Mm.
So, tip comes from Andre Brown. He does what he calls a reactivation gallery for weddings from 6 years ago, right? Or however long ago. And what he does is he says for this price, and he charges well over $1,000 for this, he will bring the gallery back out of the archives, like the raw files, back out of the archives.
Mm.
We'll run them through Imagen for his current editing style, right? So he's now re-editing them, but it's taking him no time. It's costing him very little, so it's practically pure profit, right?
Mhm.
And then the gallery solution he uses allows the JPEGs to be replaced and the gallery to be brought back and make live for his clients again. So he basically unarchives this gallery, replaces the JPEGs with the new edits, and now his clients can experience their wedding with his modern editing style and order prints and whatnot again after
Mhm.
many, many years.
That's brilliant.
So he's charging for this reactivation,
Wow.
plus they're buying more stuff. so,
That is brilliant.
so yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
so, maybe I'll start doing that. But to find my editing style took a while to
yeah.
figure out, but I knew I wanted it to be bright and, but I didn't wanna adjust skin tones incorrectly, so it took a while to get here, but finally, I've gotten the right balance of bright and, you know, true skin tone color.
Yeah. Awesome. Facebook user, don't know who it is. What gallery software do you use?
I use CloudSpot
Cool.
and love CloudSpot.
Yeah, they had a cool booth at Imaging. I keep bringing up Imaging, but it was just like
It
the
was
other
2
day.
seconds ago.
So it's very much on my mind.
Mhm.
Okay, so this one, Erica. I see there's a crop option. How does the program decide what to crop? Newbie here, just signed up. Hi, Erica. Thanks for joining. Crop is not personalized right now. It is based on a model that was originally built when Yoav, one of our co-founders, first built the Imagen prototype and stuff. So it's built on a model of making sure that your subject is in the crop. It's something that we are actually actively working on right now to even improve and modernize with an updated model. It still won't be personalized. That is something we are exploring for the future, but crop actually will be improved and all sparkly, hopefully in the very near future. But yeah, it's just based on a model to ensure that your subject is cropped nicely. It's not changing aspect ratios or anything like that. It's just cropping in. When you combine it with straightening, it's pretty cool what it does. Vernon asked another question. It was related. I guess it came up when I was talking about SEO stuff. Imagen should do an AI website builder for those who cannot build their own website. That would be cool. That would be cool. Hey, you never know. You never know. Imagen HQ, if you're watching.
I'm
You
working
never
on
know.
it.
You never know. All right, let's see. Imaging was great. I don't know who it is. I don't know who Facebook user is, but
It's
Imaging was great.
That's what it is.
Yeah. Okay. So keep getting your questions in here. I'm gonna go a little more with some more questions. What advice do you have for photographers looking to pursue photography as their career?
And wedding photographers in specifically or just any?
You decide.
Okay.
Whatever you want.
I'll answer both.
Okay.
So for somebody who just wants to start doing photography, and doesn't know what kind, I just recommend trying everything for free first. Everything for free, and then figuring out what makes you happy. I mean, wait, let me back up. Everything except a wedding. Don't do a wedding if you don't know what you're doing, and yeah, don't do that. But everything else, everything else that you could redo later on, try everything, and then figure out one thing that you like doing the most. So if you tried it all and then you're like, okay, family photography is it for me for a while. That doesn't mean that you can't do other things later. My recommendation is to start with family, for instance, and dive in super deep. Like make sure that you get everything in order and working like a well-oiled machine with families before you start adding anything else. So that's my recommendation for that. And I mean everything, like have an investment guide, a prep guide, everything, all the content, all the things that you need for family, have all that set up and then think about doing other things. But people who are thinking about just getting into wedding photography, I highly recommend offering to go to weddings with wedding photographers for free, and just doing behind the scenes and just being there, because you need to know for sure that you like the atmosphere of a wedding, because it's not for everybody. I do not recommend weddings for everybody, because it's a lot of moving parts and you're more in control than you realize, until you're already in that position. So make sure that you really like that and then move from a behind the scenes possible third shooter to a second shooter for a little while and then go from there.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. When I first started, I was assisting for about 2 years. I assisted two fantastic portrait photographers who did a lot of like magazine covers and stuff like that. And they were lighting specialists, and one of them was a retouching specialist, like when super smooth, shiny skin for everybody was like the thing to do, right?
Mhm.
That's becoming
Mhm.
less these days. Um, uh, Mind you, this was like 20 years ago. So it's like, hey, I can do this
A
in
market
Photoshop.
for that.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
So, but like he was very good at that. So I learned everything I knew about lighting from doing that for basically 2 years. Um,
oh wow.
and yeah, so I definitely recommend like shadowing, assisting. You know, literally carry like what you said, the behind the scenes photos for a wedding photographer, or like reels for a wedding photographer. Carry their bags, right?
Mhm.
Carry their light stand if they use strobes at weddings. Like,
Right.
yeah,
Just
totally.
be there. Like just be like, cause then that's when you'll realize like, oh, this doesn't go smoothly at all. And
Yeah,
like who's gonna fix this? And all of that, it's a lot of pressure shooting
yeah,
a wedding. So
yeah,
make sure that it's something you really want to do.
yeah. So on a similar note, what cameras do you use, um, and better yet, what cameras were used to build your profile?
So I use Canon R6s. I have two of those, and that's all I shoot with.
Nice.
And that's all that I've built my profile with because I bought the R6 at WPPI last year. I actually traded in like my two other cameras that I had run into the ground for one of them,
Mhm.
and then I bought another one later. And that's what I've been rocking with, and I'm obsessed with my R6s.
That's the one that has the eye focus detection, right? The
Yes.
newest ones, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
Canon.
It's changed my perspective on even doing events as a whole. I used to hate them because it just was so much work to have it up, on my eye and move the focus point over to
Yeah,
like catch candid moments when your
yep,
focus point is in the wrong place.
yeah,
I don't have to worry about that now. And I, because I'm so tall, it's changing my life because I'm able to like shoot from here because I can just shoot with the screen open and I'm literally just snapping because it focuses on their faces and it makes things so much easier.
nice. We got a lot more questions coming in. I love this. Vernon, what social media platform grew your wedding photography? I'm gonna preface or suffix that with, what social media platform grew your wedding photography the most?
The
Because
most.
I'm sure everything made an impact, but what did the most?
So it is actually kind of half and half between Facebook and Instagram. And that's
Mm,
because I believe like the first 4 years, Facebook was it. I have all these posts coming up on my memory where I'm like, "Hey guys, like my page," because it mattered. Like how many people
yeah,
liked my Facebook page, and people would see the images and all the things I'm posting, and that's just now coming back. Like Facebook's
yeah,
like, "Hey, let me push this," but for the first 4 years, it was a big deal, and it definitely helped grow my photography business. And then I got on Instagram and never looked back. And I even need to like go update my Facebook profile right now. So like right now, it's all Instagram for me, and I have not gotten on TikTok yet. So we'll
Yeah,
see.
that's a whole different thing. That's a whole different thing.
It is.
That's a
It
commitment.
and that's why I haven't done it. Like I'm not gonna do it and do it half-heartedly. Like I'm gonna have to go in. So then I'm not doing it right now. I got too many
Yeah.
moving parts.
Facebook user says, "OMG, first and only wedding I did, I ended up literally cutting potatoes because the food wasn't ready."
Yeah, that's
Food
my
is a. I see
way.
that coming up a lot lately in from wedding photographers that deal with food issues at weddings.
I've never dealt with a food issue myself. Luckily, there was a planner, the one that did run out of food at the reception. But even if it was, you don't want me to be in the kitchen. Okay. I do not cook. I do not like to cook. Yes, I have 3 kids. They're all still alive. Everything is fine. And I can cook. I just don't like it. So I wouldn't be solving that problem anyway.
All right. Vernon, again, natural or artificial light for weddings? He's killing it with these questions. These are great.
Really great. For me, it's all about natural light, or artificial light, mimicking natural light. So I don't do a lot of like strobes and all the different things at weddings. Like I'm so basic when I'm doing my lighting. Like I'll pop a flash on and it just goes straight up and spreads. I'm not super fancy with it when it comes to that type of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I think there's the natural light photographers, wedding photographers. There's the I'm gonna throw a strobe in each corner and light the room the way I want to light it photographers, and then there's the bounce, you know, photographers, and they all have their place, and that's the beauty. Which actually, let's bring it to this question.
Mm.
I'm gonna tie what I was just saying into this question. With the many included profile options and its uses for the Imagen community, do you feel that photographers' adapted style may not be unique enough to attract clients, especially if others are using similar Imagen profiles in your area? So going back to what I was just saying, yes, there's uniqueness because the way you shoot will also will also impact the final edit. So if you have a wedding photographer who is doing a bounce flash versus a wedding photographer who's doing natural light, and you're both using Luxe Color, right? The final result's going to be different,
Yep.
right? There's no magic that's going to make them identical. Light makes a huge impact. So the way that you work with light, the way you work with shadows will definitely impact one photographer versus another, in my opinion. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Like, what do you think about that?
I do agree with you. I also think that regardless of if every single photographer edited the exact same way, people still would have to differentiate between them. There's still going to be things like the posing involved and like your messaging of what you're putting out that you love. Like people don't understand with even just within wedding photography alone, all the different like niches that there are within that, because there are people who are adventure photographers and they want you to take them on like 9-hour hikes up mountains. Don't call me for that. Okay. Like there's still things that differentiate us outside of just the editing of our final images. So I don't think it's going to like make it so that people aren't unique enough. I don't.
What if they fly you in a helicopter to the top of the mountain and they'll just meet you there?
I'm down.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Me
Listen,
too.
I'll go anywhere. If you go get me physically there, I'm going.
Especially by helicopter or teleportation or something like super cool like that.
Exactly. I'll make it work for that. But hiking up a mountain
Yeah.
and then shooting and then coming down, I'm not interested anymore. I did that a couple times. I'm good though.
Yeah. So Vernon asked, great question. There's a little he forgot he posted two comments because he forgot a word in there. But how did you name your profile, your talent ad profile? How'd you come up with Luxe Color?
Honestly, I didn't. Zoe did. She works for Imagen. She sent me a couple options and I was like, Luxe Color. That's it.
Yeah.
And there was like 4 or 5 that she was like, I was thinking these, but I was like, that's it.
Yeah.
I just feel that it is its own type of color. Like it
Mm.
isn't something that you just see anywhere. And so I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna call it luxury color. It works for me. Lux color it is.
Yeah.
Simple.
Heather, because Michelle is Lux.
Oh.
Oh boy. Nice to see you, Heather. Heather and I got to hang out at Imaging. See, Imaging again.
Mhm.
Um, Keith, still sticking around. I love it, Keith.
Yeah.
At this point in your career, are you finding more business from social media, website, or word of mouth? Good question.
That is a great question. I am finding more business right this moment from social media. And that's because my word of mouth has gone downhill fast
Hmm.
because I realized that I have, when I say word of mouth, I'm really talking about planners. And that's because 3 of my main planners that were like just sending me weddings, like I didn't have to even think, they all decided to do something different. Like they literally just pivoted. One of them literally was like, you know what? I quit and I'm gonna buy a pizza shop. And that's what she did. Like I swear.
Hilarious.
Like,
That's very
what?
different.
All my brides were coming from you. Like, what do you mean? Like, sorry, girl. Like, so like I'm reaching out to new planners to get like the word of mouth and all the things like back up. But I feel like social media is my number one like means for increase and things like that.
You know, social media, for example, Instagram, right, which, as you said, is probably your number one driver, right?
Mhm.
Um, in a way, is very much still word of mouth, if it's organic, right?
Right.
Because you might have a bride who loved your, the job you did for her wedding, and maybe she didn't send an email with your website. Maybe she sent an Instagram share of a photo, of her wedding, and
Hmm.
then you might have gotten booked from somebody on Instagram that was shared by a bride, but didn't tell you
Hmm.
appropriately. They said, "Oh, I found you on Instagram," but really it was like a bride that shared it, right? So
Yeah.
in a way,
It's
it's
still
a mix of social media and word of
and
mouth.
word of mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah. From like my
So
actual clients. Definitely.
yeah. Vernon, killing it with these questions. Do you shoot wide open, and what is your lens lineup for a wedding? Oh, I love
Oh, I
this. Is
love
this is
that.
my thing. I'm all nerdy about this. I want to know the answer too.
Okay, so yes, I definitely shoot wide open as often as I possibly can. And my lens lineup first, I did not say this at any point in time, but I'm also a Sigma ambassador. So I use all Sigma lenses.
Hmm.
And if I could shoot the entire day with 2 lenses, it would be the 40 millimeter 1.4. And people are always like, 40, what is that? Like, why didn't you just get a 35 or 50? I have both of those. But my 40 Sigma is the absolute fastest and sharpest lens that I own. And it's super underrated. And so I will have that on me and my 85 1.4 from Sigma. I'm
Nice.
obsessed with the 2 of them.
Awesome. Okay, so I've got 2 more questions for you before we wrap it up. My first question is, do you have an embarrassing photography story that you can share?
Wow. This one you could have prepped me for. I didn't think.
Like, have
Embarrassing.
you ever stepped in something you shouldn't have stepped in outside? Have you
Oh
fallen
God.
into any?
Um,
My favorite is watching those videos when like the wedding photographer falls into the, like the fountain.
yeah, so I
I
haven't
mean, I
fallen
feel
into
bad, but it's funny.
water. I haven't fallen into water. But I did sprain my ankle at a wedding. But like, was it that embarrassing? Because then I just kept killing it and I was limping around. So I don't have much, but I'm terrible at walking. Like I walk backwards without looking
Oh,
all the
bumping into
time.
people.
So like I could be one of those people that fall into the water.
Mm,
But I just have been lucky enough that I haven't because I definitely like I see something, I'm like, oh, I need more in
yeah,
it. And I just
yeah,
start pulling back. I never look.
yeah. Knock on wood. Knock on wood.
Right. Yeah. Seriously.
Okay, so my last question to you. I see another comment. Let me answer this question real quick. Are there any plans to tie into Capture One to Imagen? I had to resurrect Lightroom to use it. I am loving Imagen. Yes, there is. It's in active development. We are working with the Capture One team to make it happen. So stay tuned. Um, we will have a beta as soon as we have a beta. We will definitely announce it to everybody who uses Capture One to try it out. But so yeah, it's coming. Okay. For my last question, I'm going to take you off screen because I'm going to make another clip of this for YouTube separate. So I'm going to ask a question, and then I'm going to take myself off screen so it's just you. What do you love to focus on while Imagen handles your post-production workflow?
Okay, so what I love to focus on while Imagen handles my post-production workflow is my kids. I am super, super busy with all the different avenues of my business that I am constantly concerned with. And so I can push all that aside and focus on doing fun things with my kids instead of hours and hours and hours of post production. And it actually has literally changed the dynamic even in my household since I've started using Imagen. My kids now come to me and they're like, "Oh, can we watch a movie tonight?" And they're way more hopeful that I'm going to be like, "Yeah, I got time," because I'm not going to bring my computer because that is a rule whenever they do ask me to watch movies. And it's made a huge difference with me and my kids because I have more time to spend with them.
You're amazing.
Yeah.
But I already knew that ahead of time, just going into this. Yeah, I love that answer. I love that answer. Oh, so good. Okay, there are a couple other questions here. Let me get to those, and then I know you have something to share as well, so we'll get to that too. Heather, when Capture One is out, will my profile transfer? I hate Capture One, but it does like Sony better. It's true. So I don't have the answer to that yet. I know our team is exploring options for that, but once I know more, I would definitely share. So unfortunately, I can't give a straight answer just yet.
Heather, you could always just come over to Canon or,
Just that's true. That's true.
you could do that.
Or Nikon. Nikon.
I guess.
um,
Good
so
time.
oh, we're gonna have a battle.
Mhm.
Michelle, I love your work. I don't know who this is, Facebook user. Sorry. I just popped in to say that. That's very nice.
Aw.
Scott, I have a question. So if you have a profile already, and now you want to move to a profile based on Michelle's Luxe Color, do I have to re-upload these catalogs? So if you want to build a profile based on Michelle's profile, you would have to edit 3,000 or more images, a minimum of 3,000 with Michelle's profile. Do whatever adjustments you want to make it your own, and then create a profile. I will say that we have a new feature in the works called I think it's called profile adjustments, which will be make it so that like if you like Michelle's profile, for example, but you prefer slightly cooler, for example, right? You love everything about Michelle's profile, but you want it to be slightly cooler. You will be able to build your own adjustments on top of your own personal AI profile or on top of a talent AI profile that are just for you in every edit that you do. So that will make it so that you wouldn't have to necessarily make your own profile based on Michelle's. You could just make these adjustments, and literally every photo that you edit will have those adjustments in it. So that is coming. That is in active development as well. Soon to be in internal beta. I'm very excited about that.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I'll have more to share on that as well once that gets closer. That's a very exciting feature.
It is. I have a lot of people who are like, I love, your style and things, but
Yeah.
literally they say like, yours is more on the warmer side. I wish I could just cool it down.
This will
So
solve
that's
that for them.
amazing.
Yeah. Okay. Vernon, the hustle sign shows Michelle means business. I like Michelle and love Imagen. It changed my life. So nice
Aw,
to hear, Vernon.
that's awesome.
And then also he's saying that Capture One handles my Fuji sensor better. It's true. Lightroom, for whatever reason, doesn't handle the Fuji's got a very unique sensor in their cameras, and Lightroom doesn't handle it as well as Capture One. They've gotten a lot better over the years, but but Lightroom's got a lot of catching up to do in that standpoint from the sensor than for what Capture One's already at. Okay, so as we wrap this up, Michelle, you wanted to share something. You want me to bring that up on screen real quick?
Yes.
Okay.
So today is actually the last day that you could enter to win a ticket to one of my workshops. They're destination workshops. I host them all over the United States, and eventually I might take them abroad. But right now they're United States, and they're 2-day workshops. They include Airbnbs, so you literally just have to buy a ticket and a flight. That's it. You get a shoot for a wedding shoot, an engagement shoot, and hours of mentoring with me and the other up to 7 people that join us. It's not big. I like it intimate. And so you can enter to win. You just got to go to that website and fill out the form before midnight tonight. And I will be picking a winner and announcing tomorrow.
Amazing. Amazing. Okay, so thank you, Michelle, for hanging out and answering all these questions. Some lighter, some deeper, some trickier. I didn't throw these at you, but once I get you on the podcast, you're in for a treat.
I'm excited.
um,
Oh,
Vernon's in South Africa. Oh, cool.
wow. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Vernon, for tuning in from South Africa. That's
And
amazing.
asking the best questions. Awesome.
Yeah, you have some really good ones. Yes. So thank you, Michelle. Really appreciate it. I'm so happy that we've finally got this was a long time in the works to get your profile live. And I'm so glad it's finally live, that everybody gets to take advantage and use it. And for those who don't have editing style, get to now use yours, or those who, are new to photography can start building their portfolio with a fantastic editing style that never existed in Imagen until now. So good, so good. And for all you who tuned in, who have been commenting, thank you. Thank you for tuning in for this live stream with Michelle. If you would like to know when the next live stream is, it's actually next Wednesday. If you want to know, you're invited to be a part of the bigger conversation. Join the Imagen community. It's just imagen-ai.com/community. I'm going to bring that up on screen. I got it up here somewhere. Here it is. So please join the Imagen community. I'm actually going to be going live next week. This is going to be one specifically for all the new Imaginers that came from Imaging USA. We're going to demonstrate how to get your Lightroom catalog organized, in order to build a personal AI profile, and show you exactly how to build a personal AI profile. So join the Imagen community. You'll be able to tune into that live stream. By joining the community, you get access to exclusive conversations like this one, live events, Q&As with our Imagen founders, and much more. So I hope to see you there. The link's right there on the screen. With that, any final words before we roll the outro, Michelle?
I got nothing. Just try Imagen. That's all I got. I have so many people who are like, but I don't know. You get 1,500 free images to play around with, if you use my link. So you have no excuse. Yeah. Do it. It'll change your life.
Michelle, make sure you throw the link in your link. I will leave it to you. Throw your link into the comments of the live stream.
Oh.
When you can.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I just go on there after. Yep, I got it.
Yeah. Once we're done, just go to the live stream and throw your link in there, so everybody uses your link, not mine.
Perfect.
Awesome. I'm gonna roll the outro. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, for asking questions and commenting.